Aloha, everyone. So thank you for sticking with us. Also, thank you for being calm and being safe. So far, we have not seen a wave of consequence, which is a great relief to us. It's kind of a blessing to not be reporting any damage. We have seen significant water recede several times in Haleiwa, and there were 2 waves that were measured coming through the Midway Atoll. So that's been our concern. We expressed how tall they were. The first one, 30 centimeters. The second one, a full 3 feet with an amplitude, but also a total height of 6 feet from trough to peak. Right now, we still have not seen any wave activity come past the Big Island. That's important. Until we see what happens on the Big Island and the full wraparound of the islands, we won't feel that we are in a position to start seeing and saying that we're kind of in the clear. We expect to be about 2 to 3 hours at least until we can call all clear. So far, though, at the moment, so good. Couple things. HECO continues to monitor the situation. There's not been, at least to our report, any power loss, and there's no plan to shut off any power at this time in advance. Do not call, please, 911 unless you have an emergency. That's important. Keep that line available in case something significant happens. On transportation roadways, don't get on the road at all unless you need to. Just lay low tonight and watch television, please. If you're on a coastal road and you've been in gridlock, if that happens anywhere, and we don't think that's happening, you have to be at least 100 feet above sea level or 2 miles inland, just in case. But at this point, we're not seeing that problem. The airports have not yet been impacted, of course, by a wave, but all flights in and out of Maui have been canceled for tonight. There are about 200 people sheltering at the terminal. We hope to take care of them comfortably. We'll certainly do that. The Department of Transportation shut down the Maui Airport lobby, and there are no flights out just yet. In the morning, those sheltering, we're going to rescreen them, and we're going to take care of them, like I said. All clear, like I said, has not happened yet. Just be a little safe for a little longer. We are going to have another signature meeting at about 9 p.m., and then we will have Mr. Barrios, our captain, and our general come back out and give you at least one more update tonight. I'm going to defer now to Barrios, but look, everything has been okay so far. We haven't seen a big wave, but when that water receded in Haleiwa and we saw some boats kind of laying on the dry rock and sand, that gave us pause. That doesn't happen for no reason. When the water pulls back like that, that means there's activity in the ocean. So, again, we keep our fingers crossed that we don't suffer a big tsunami. Again, people have been very thoughtful and very safe, and that's something we appreciate. Aloha.
Aloha. Like the governor said, there is energy in the ocean. There were small measurements of smaller waves, and they want to see, the scientists are telling us, we want to see a few of them to know that we're in the clear. So the window is still 2 to 3 hours that we're watching this energy in the Pacific Ocean. So the counties have opened shelters and places of refuge. If the citizens need it, they can use that. We're postured to support those shelters with wraparound services if needed. There's also Red Cross that's standing by. There's and it's really this sense of aloha in the state. Family Promise of Hawaii, they're reaching and leaning forward to say that they can help folks. If the public needs assistance, we'll post their phone number and email that if people are impacted and need assistance, they can reach out. So there's a lot of entities, a lot of community involvement, and it's wonderful to see how the state is reacting to a very serious threat to our public and to the safety of the state. Thank you.
Mahalo, Administrator Barros. Finally, I'd like to bring up Captain Nick Wurst, Commander Sector Honolulu and Captain of the Port.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Governor. As stated, Captain Nick Wurst, Sector Honolulu. Our top priorities for the Coast Guard right now are the safety of life, the safety of our ports, and then any environmental impacts to the state. In anticipation of that, we have closed all commercial harbors and have ordered evacuation of those harbors to mitigate risk. In addition, have Coast Guard assets deployed. That's small boats, ships, and planes and aircraft pre-deployed. So post-impact, we are ready to respond very quickly to any search and rescue cases, to be able to assess the ports to make sure they're safe to be reopened for commerce, and then also any environmental impacts, so we can respond to that. So we are working in unison with the state, and thank you very much for your time.
Okay, at this time, we're going to facilitate questions from the media, and we'll start with Andrew, Honolulu Star Advertiser.
Can you let us know who gives input, most important input on determining an all clear if warranted?
So the question is, who gives the most important input on determining an all clear?
We're going to turn to Dr. Chip at the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. They're on the calls with the governor. They're advising the leadership, and they'll give us an indication of what they believe, and then it'll be an executive order from here.
Okay, next I'm going to go to Le'ui, KITV4.
Do you know what is closely being looked at to monitor and give a better indicator of the surge cycle in this scenario?
So the question is around what are the indicators for closely monitoring the surge cycle?
Well, there's multiple readings of the waves all across the Pacific and then all across the islands. So there's a printout that we see dozens of those measurements, and they've ranged from 0.23 meters in some cases to over a meter. So we have had a couple waves of that size. The largest wave we believe we saw was in Haleiwa, over a meter, well over a meter. And then, of course, the pause that we had was also watching the shoreline recede, where we saw, the water pull back 20 or 30 feet. That seemed like an anticipated large wave. So that's what we've all seen historically. We're really hoping that we are out of harm's way. Again, we don't want anyone to let their guard down. We want it to go another couple hours. As the waves cycle smaller and smaller, that's how we know that we're ending this concern.
Mahalo, Governor. Up next, Ashley, Hawaii Public Radio.
So when the all clear comes through, would that mean that the water is back to normal and no longer receded? I guess what are the clear indicator that it's all completed?
So the question is, when the all clear comes or is finalized and communicated, what does that mean with regard to the water?
I think that means that we reach functional zero risk. Because we're able to continue to monitor waves all throughout the Pacific, including the multiple different locations that we described earlier. But most importantly, as the waves end generation, when they're hitting our own shorelines, which can cause more wave activity, then we know it's over. So we'll be hopeful. Also we'll see the tides go down, which is, not nothing. We did observe pretty significant waves on the other side of the Pacific. In Japan, there were 3-meter waves, and we saw some of them cascade over, over their shoreline. So that's a big concern. But again, so far so good. We had a couple fender benders on the highway, which we're always, watching and we're careful about. A couple people went home from work a little early today, but that's all an excellent outcome if we don't end up having, a serious tsunami like we did in past decades.
Final question going to Daryl Huff, Hawaii News Now.
Okay, so looking forward, what I'm trying to understand is when you say we had a 3-foot wave in Haleiwa, that was the water receded, came back in. We didn't have a wave go up onto Haleiwa parking lot or anything like that, right? So far we haven't had waves that inundated anything significant. Is that correct? And what are we worried about next?
The question is confirmation on the waves not coming and making their way inland yet, and then what can we anticipate next?
Yes, sir. As our conversations with the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, yes, and they would prefer to see multitude of these smaller waves as that 3 feet, recede a little bit, 3 feet, and not generate that bigger wave. So as we watch throughout the evening, monitoring different buoys across, monitoring cameras, we're watching those waves. So again, Best case is we get some of those smaller waves that don't inundate and flood coastlines.
Okay, well, look, thank you everyone for your patience. We, like I said, are going to get another update from the scientific community around 9, and then we'll communicate with you. We'll reach out through social media and text shortly thereafter in case there's any update. And then, hopefully, fingers crossed, the gentleman will be able to come up and hopefully give us the all clear in 2 or 3 hours, perhaps by 11 tonight. But we want to still be cautious. There's just no reason to take any risks. So again, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being mindful of the large risk. If large waves did come over the shore, we know there would be harm and loss of life. So we just don't want to lose any of our people. Aloha.